It is April 18th, 2 weeks since the last garden video update. It's another pretty evening here on Parker Pastures. The sunsets out here never disappoint. And then we're a little bit past the really bright side. So let's take a look at the garden and see. We've made some progress. We still have a long ways to go. As you can see, the pine straw is still sitting here. We have done some cleaning out and feeding of some chickens, some goodies. Our Asian bed has really grown in 2 weeks. We are expecting Wednesday night, I believe, like 40 degree, 38 degree temperatures. So you can see all the Asian greens are looking really nice. The kale, the perennial bed, I don't know if I had that in on the last video or not, but there's all sorts of dahlias and other flowers there in front of the fish pond. We had changed our mind. We're not going to do cardboard and pine straw this year. We are going to do heavy duty black landscape fabric through everything and then top it with some pine straw wood chips. It just seems to last a little bit longer. We cleaned out this bed. This bed is going to be sunflowers. So some mammoth sunflowers back here behind the great-great-great-grandparents' bell. And then some smaller sunflowers up there just to give it a rest. And the sunflowers pull minerals up from deep in the soil. So recondition the soil a little bit. We've had a lot of food crops growing in here in rotation for the past 6 seasons. So you can see we're starting to lay the black fabric. This fence line's coming down eventually. We have both of those beds out there in the pasture field. It's roped off temporarily so the horses can't get to it. And then we're adding some more beds out there, surprise, surprise, that are going to have cattle panel arches for our trellising stuff to grow on. These are sunflowers waiting to be planted. We still need to amend these smaller boxes. We haven't decided exactly what's going where yet. We think this will be the sweet pepper box. They really like that box and they like to hold hands, and it seems it does to be planted close together, meaning hold hands. And it seems to do pretty well there. Of course, the garlic and the onions. Note to self, garlic and onions, garlic in particular, really likes a consistent watering about 1 inch a week. And if not, it starts to prematurely yellow, as you see here. And you don't want that to die because right now the foliage is feeding the bulb down there. And I'm really hoping to get enough seed garlic from this elephant garlic that is up front here to fill both beds in the fall. So we got our tomatoes planted. Papa came up, BB came up and helped plant the tomato starts. These were, unfortunately, the little guys that didn't get picked. They're like the little kids in the kickball game, where they're the last ones picked, or not picked. These guys, haven't found a spot for them yet. This is called Cardoon, C-A-R-D-O-O-N, and it grows up big and bushy, about 4 feet wide. I'm just waiting to find the right spot for these guys. And you cook it. You can saute it, stir fry it, blanch it, and it tastes like the heart of an artichoke. So that should be interesting. That's a new grow this year. We have about 35 different kinds of tomatoes, and sunflowers, what we did this year, and we're hoping is going to help with the trellising quite a bit. As you can see, we have the cattle panel system going on. So it's a T-post with a cattle panel. And instead of waiting for the tomatoes to get up there, what I decided to do was kind of blend this with a greenhouse technique, where they have a tomato tie here. They put it there at the lowest branch. I've already planted these guys deep and trimmed them up a little bit. Attached a string. The string goes up, 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 and then it attaches with another tomato tie up here. And so as the tomato grows, you literally just take the tomato and you wrap it, as you can see I've already started doing with this guy. You can tie it when it gets up here too onto the cattle panel, but I'm thinking that might be easier. We'll see if that's enough support, but that's how they do it in greenhouses. So if that's easier, I'm all for that. So this bed here is all cherry tomatoes of 4, 8, 9 different varieties. And now we go into the bigger tomato beds. This once again is sunflowers, and they're in the middle because they'll get real tall. I'll trim the leaves up so there's no leaves in between, so there's good airflow in between here. And then there'll just be sunflowers poking out the top of those cattle panels. We're gonna end up putting cucumbers or something trellising in the front of these boxes, but they're still up in the grow station growing until we can get everything settled. Then there'll be a really nice canopy right there. This is the shallot and onion bed that I probably won't ever do again. Although I shouldn't say ever, because then sure enough, you're guaranteed to do it again. Shallots have just been kind of stricken with blight. They seem to be perking up a little bit. The leeks were okay. They grew well, did them from seed. It wasn't super hard. I think anybody could probably do it. This year we had that extreme cold, so it tricked these onions into thinking that this was their second year growing. So unfortunately they have gone to seed. You can see the seed heads here and over there. And when your onions go to seed, when they get a seed head like that, number one, these are called scapes. And so cut off the scapes when they're like this size, not when they've opened. When they're this size, cut them off at the bottom down there, and they are amazing sauteed. It's like a really, really mild onion. We did some with some mushrooms and they were just so good. But when your onions go to seed like this, when they're tricked into thinking they're a second year onion with either an extreme heat jump or an extreme cold like we had, then your onions start rotting in the middle. So although I'll have to go ahead and pick these guys and use them. You can use them, but they won't store like a regular onion would store. See those white things right there? That's blight on your onions. So if you have that, it's no bueno. So now moving over here, we are adding another grow spot. I know, imagine that. These are old horse troughs, just metal horse troughs that we have. And we taped off the middle stripe there, and then we sprayed it with an aged copper. We'll be drilling holes in those and filling them. And we're gonna put an archway, a cattle panel archway, just like we did, like I showed you on that other bed. Those were just laid in place today because we're getting ready to put the drip system in place. These beds are now filled, and we're doing the same kind of support structures we did with the other ones. These are all tomatoes again. These are large slicer tomatoes, all different colors, yellow, white, green, black, purple, orange, maybe a red. Hopefully a red. I hope I have a red. Greg, do we have any red large tomatoes?
Large?
Yeah,
Good.
I think. I have somewhere upstairs if we don't. The Paul Robeson, that's a purple black. That might be the closest big red one we have. I have striped tomatoes, pink tomatoes. As you can see, they're all grown a little bit different. These guys are ready to be strung up like the other ones. We have the potatoes are growing like crazy. They're the bucket potatoes. So I don't know what the production will be. I'll let you know, but you can see them coming out of the top of the potatoes. It's time, or top of the containers. It's time to go ahead and put some dirt in those. These are going to be the two new beds that Greg just put this one together, and then we're going to do a second one right over here. This fence that you see in the middle is coming down, and we're going to have an archway over these two beds too. So it'll be completely covered in the middle of the beds when you walk through. And then on the other side of the bed, I think we're going to try to grow zucchini and squash up vertically. So that bed's ready for hot peppers. And this bed is ready for hot peppers. There's some more potatoes down there. And that bed down there is ready for, we're not really sure yet. Hot peppers, probably, if Greg has his way. They'll be all hot peppers. We'll just have a hot pepper party if anybody wants to come.
For all the pepper heads.
For all the pepper heads, that's right. And this is the Jerusalem artichoke that we had growing last year. Came back really nicely and probably with a vengeance, since I don't think I dug any of this one out. It was tasty.
It's going to take up the glads.
Yeah, it'll probably take over your glads. I already relocated some down there, so we may want to dig those up over there and put them over there. So we still have lots of work to do, but I think we're making progress. So things are coming right along, and you know, even though we said, oh, we're only going to do 3 more beds. Oh, he's also adding 2 more 12-foot hugel beds out there. I think this season we have added 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 more beds. So lots of grow space. It'll be cool to see when the yard gets all green and filled in. So that's April 18th's update.